Come on. Hey, Dustin. Let's see here. All right. So I was actually kind of surprised that Sketch Cards won the vote. And I was trying to think of what I should actually draw if I'm gonna, what I'm gonna put up. So I don't know. We'll see. I haven't drawn anything today, so last minute coming into this, I was thinking Power from Chainsaw Man. Power is one of my favorites. I could do Kaiju. I could do just another horror piece. In fact, the horror pieces are the ones that have been getting noticed more lately, so maybe I should stick with doing some horror pieces. If you give me a few minutes, let me get my watercolor stuff ready, because I wasn't sure what I was going to do. I do draw. That's what this is going to be. It's going to be me working on at least one, if not a couple of sketch cards. So I'm going to go put some water in my little reservoir here, and then I will be right back. So we're working on sketch cards. All right. I take commissions, but I mean, not really special requests in terms of. I'm trying to think of some stuff to draw right now. I don't know if you caught the part where I wasn't sure what I was going to draw yet. I've been doing some horror pieces lately, and horror has been doing really well for me recently in terms of just interest and sales and things like that. Getting some commission sketch cards commissioned for horror as well. Oh, that's what that is. Okay. So I can definitely take suggestions. Whether or not I will do that just depends on on what we're working on. So let's see here. I want that one, that one, that one, and that one. I was on YouTube watching a guy. There's still like 15 minutes left of his video. He's building a house with like pallets. It's kind of neat. It's like out in the middle of nowhere too. It's probably finish that afterwards. Let's see. So almost always got to start with a rough sketch. So if I'm gonna do horror, I've done Chucky, I've done Michael Myers, done let's see here. I just did a nun. We could do, I wouldn't mind doing a Freddy Krueger, except I think he's going to be a little bit more detailed than I'm necessarily used to. Alcatron, the free social media. Let's see here. Some classic Freddy poses. Hello. Let's see. So, a lot of people watching right now. So, I think I'm going to do horror sketch cards. So hopefully you guys like horror, unless there is, because the basis for this is kind of showing how I do things, but also um, what do you call it? A little bit of a tutorial, but for pieces that I'm gonna eventually potentially encapsulate, because I do my own like slabbing of pieces. And then, sell them, of course. Freddy has an interesting nose. Like, it's like wide at the nostrils. He's got like kind of a wide bridge, but then it almost tapers down a little bit. Like, but it's not like what you would call like a witch's nose, like a pinpoint or a hook. Yeah, let's try that. That'll be challenging. Let me see if I can get a decent profile shot of him. Or if we're just going to have to wing it. Yeah, because I mean, that's a classic one, classic image, but at the same time, like, that's not Freddy Krueger's father. And then, get the sexy dress for the sexy cosplay. Because that's what I think of when I think of Freddy Krueger. All right, so we're just going to kind of wing it. Although I do need to see how his hat shape works. It's the brim, so it goes kind of up. And then it tapers. Okay. So what has everybody been up to? One of the things about Freddy Krueger that's always, I think they corrected it in the remake, but um, most burn victims who would have been that severely burned would not have ears, right? Like they're because your ear is essentially predominantly cartilage, and that's one of the things that melts pretty dramatically when you're a burn victim. I don't know how many of you might have ever seen a lot of burn victims up close, but the other thing that's kind of interesting about the Freddy like just mythos is how well loved he is when you consider like really how monstrous he is as a character, right? Like I mean, he killed children. He did other things to children. Like oh yeah, I forgot Dynamite's on. Can't use the eraser on there because that eraser is like it's not rotten, but it's just it doesn't it's like hardened to the point where it'll just grab and like smear. It doesn't actually erase anything. It's more like at this point it's more like a blending stump, if that makes sense. I forget what I found lately, but I think it was what House of Glory I think has been like posting a lot of their stuff on YouTube, and I've been catching a little bit of that, like the Shotzi and Scarlet versus Priscilla, and um, what's the other Alley Catch. The God, like seeing that GCW match where she just like her leg snapped in half was probably the equivalent of like my parents' generation seeing like, Joe Theismann getting his leg snapped in half on like I think it was on Monday Night Football, quite honestly. So the thing about Freddy is because of all the burn scars, he doesn't have like the same like he wouldn't have like the same like muscles and facial structure to have like the bends and the massive like massive wrinkles and stuff like that. So his thumb would be on the outside. Already got to plug this stupid thing in. And it's always one of those tricky things where like his thumb doesn't have a razor on it, right? But like didn't they do well, why is that one? It's reversed. Um okay, so I need to get a good look at his thumb to see. Okay, there we go. Okay, so it doesn't have the metal part on it. Good. Yeah, that one, yeah, you're right. That one was pretty, yeah, yeah, I would say that one was freaking pretty disgusting, for sure. Um, I don't know if it was I believe because, there's a tape delay and everything, I believe there was, they intentionally cut away from it, so you didn't see everything, right? But when they cut back, man, like, that was nasty and brutal, and apparently, um, he had, like, knocked Scott Steiner unconscious with that kick too. So not only is Sid laying there with, like, with a leg that has literally been snapped in half, but um if Scott Steiner comes to, he's gonna be, pretty PO'd. Yeah, I mean, it was snapped, like, the tibia and the thalamus both, just it was pretty nasty. Um, I was gonna say, how did we get in on this conversation? But then that was me talking about Alley Catch, so that's my fault. I honestly, I didn't mind Jackie Earl Haley as Freddy, and I know a lot of people will be like, "Well, that's sacrilegious, and it's wrong." Being that Freddy's not my favorite horror character, I don't have the same attachment to him that other people have. Don't get me wrong, I think Robert Englund is Freddy Krueger, right? I don't think there's any doubt in my mind about that. But the thing about it is, because I don't have the same attachment to it, um it didn't bother me as much. I know what bothered a lot of people about that movie, besides the fact that, they remade it and everything, um, was the fact that they, like, added the like child sexual predator aspect of things, um, to the Freddy character, and, like, part of me is like, okay, so, like, you were okay with him just, like, offing kids, but, like, that's the bridge too far, because they never actually came out and said that in the original movies. Like, okay, that's interesting, an interesting take, but to me, it kinda came off at the same rate as, like, when, um, people, certain fans were really upset about Harley Quinn in the New 52, right? Like, if you read comics, and when DC New 52 launched in 2011, and there were a certain section of fans who were really mad at the, um, people saying that Harley Quinn was being, like, overly sexualized and everything, but there had already been, like, all the stories where, she teamed up with Ivy, and she, was running around, and there was all the, other relationship implications long before that. Um, so the thing that I gleaned from that is people were really okay with Harley being, the punching bag to the Joker, but they were not okay with her being, like, able to make decisions for herself, because those decisions also revolved around, um, her having, like, her own, choices sexually and stuff. And I mean, they brought it up in, in Suicide Squad, not the Suicide Squad, but it was kind of the same thing. Like, people were really mad about that. And honestly, I didn't understand what the big deal was, because, like, don't get me wrong, I like Harley Quinn. Like, she's fine. Especially at that point, she was fine. Like, I don't care about the character now. I don't like Harley Quinn. I don't really care about any mainstream characters, to be honest. So when somebody gets upset that like something character wise was changed, I'm like, okay, that's fine. Like for me, I guess it's a lot like Star Wars. Um, um, I like Star Wars. Don't get me wrong. Like even parts of the prequels were okay. My favorite part of Star Wars was the Clone Wars cartoon. I'll even take the Gennady Tartakovsky Clone Wars that is apparently not canon, which when you think about it is really stupid because that dude helped bring new life into the Star Wars mythos because without his non-canon um, cartoon, like we wouldn't have gotten the Clone Wars, um, we wouldn't have gotten what else? Rebels, like we wouldn't have gotten like all these really, really well done projects that kept Star Wars alive prior to um, the uh, 7, 8, and 9, and then like Mando and stuff like that, which is fine because like Star Wars again isn't my thing, but dude, how have you not seen the Star Wars Clone Wars cartoon? I mean, unless Star Wars just isn't your thing, then I mean that's understandable, but it is so brilliantly done. Like it shows it's and honestly, like I don't understand how it's canon either, just because like so it takes place during the Clone Wars, but like you're also looking at what do you call it? I don't know how long the Clone Wars actually lasted in Star Wars mythos, like how many years it might have been. And I realize he looks like he's stabbing himself in the eye, but he's got his hand like that, like pawed in front of his face, so his face is like right here. And so these fingers are kind of going off to the side because otherwise his fingers would have been pointing down and I don't know, like I think it would have been yeah, I'm kind of not liking this very much, honestly. I didn't plan a Freddy, so well, I mean, that makes sense. I think, yeah, you might like Clone Wars. If honestly, I would probably, I think, I'm pretty sure they're on Disney, the Gennady Tartakovsky ones, because like I think the DVDs are harder to come by on those. Um, I fortunately bought them before they, I think, went out of print, which I don't understand why Disney ever lets things go out of print. I mean, you let them go out of print for like a year or two, and then you put them back into print. Um, but I'm not a business person, obviously, because what do I know? But yeah, I think this convo started because we were Dustin asked about my thoughts on Jackie Earl Haley. I like Jackie Earl Haley as an actor. I think he's actually really, really talented and really skilled. I think he just hasn't been given, something to sink his teeth into for quite some time. 2009 was like 2009, 2010 was a big year, 2 years for him. with Watchmen and the remake of Nightmare on Elm Street, and it was interesting because like people hated, like, Nightmare fans hated his rendition of Freddy, and to some degree that's warranted, but at the same time it's like, it's just whatever to me, again, because it wasn't he's not a character that I like, that resonated with me at the same vein, like, especially as an adult. Now, normally I do cleanup on these cards, but with with horror, that's kind of the nice thing. You can kind of let the grit and the dirtiness, like, lay in wait. Yeah, I got a buddy, and I think you've met him, Dustin, Richard, who loves Star Wars, and he loves, like, from what he said, he loves everything about Star Wars. Like, and I'm like, that's cool, because like I'm as much as somebody might say that I'm not a good fan or whatever. Like, I only stick with something as long as it's like working for me, right? Like, dude, I love the Marvel movies when they first came out, right? I thought Incredible Hulk and Iron Man were incredibly well done. And even the rest of like the first run, like Thor number one was pretty well done. Um, Cap number one was, I think Cap number one was better than Thor number one. Um, and I'm not a big like Cap guy. In fact, none of those characters are characters I actually care about. Um, but it's interesting that like the movies made me care about them, like especially Steve Rogers. Um, because he's kind of just like he's sort of, in my eyes, he's sort of boring, you know. And this is coming from somebody who was a big Punisher fan, to the point of actually my first tattoo was a Punisher skull on my shoulder, that I almost got thrown out of the house for. It's a fun story. Got in a big fight with my mom that night. She was not happy. That's not a good red. Why is that red so nasty looking? Still nasty looking. Why is it so nasty looking? I need to get some more watercolors. Like, now is his hand. Okay, it's red at the glove. Good, good, good. I haven't done a ton of live filming and stuff like that. I mean, I did one a few months back. I think Dustin was the only one who was on here. So it's actually kind of cool to see that there was like 10 or so people who were watching at one instant. Although now it says 3, and I'm sure my computer being open counts as one of them. So was that the small brush? It was. Holy cow. I like using these reservoir brushes, as I've mentioned in some of my other videos, because of I feel a little bit more control with them, with what I'm delivering. But one way or another, with some of these brushes, like they will, and I don't know if it's from use or if it's just dependent on the brush, but they will sometimes just start delivering as much water as they want out of them. And I'm not squeezing the reservoir, so I'm not trying to bring out more water. So that gets a tad frustrating at points. And I forget what color Freddy's eyes are. I guess I can look that up. I don't think that's that's like a 3D model. Oh, I thought that was that? Or am I just looking at a different one that somebody did? Yeah, I guess he's got these like crazy kind of like steel. It's like grayish blue. Which is kind of even more unnerving. And that was way too saturated. There you go. Nice thing about watercolors is, for the most part, they are they're a lot easier to correct than other mediums. Something that I kind of like about the alcohol markers too, like you can, like if you F up with them, you can kind of like, you can add more to it. Like you just put, they have like the blender marker, so it's just pure alcohol in it, and you just keep adding it and blending it, and you can lighten it to a specific point, stuff like that. Like it's kind of nice. Yeah. I did like the new Nightmare design for Freddy. Like I thought it was a nice update. It didn't deviate too much from the original, but it was updated just enough to make him even a little more sinister. Um, Last week when I did this live, I was trying to figure out how to do to put music on my tablet, um, which would not feed into my new head earbuds. So I had to just, go without any music and it just be quiet like it is right now, which isn't necessarily bad, but so this is definitely not screen accurate Freddy Krueger. Hey Angel, how you doing? You didn't miss it this time. Actually, that doesn't look too bad with that red tone on it. Good and clean. Did you just take a shower? I'm doing okay. I kind of had a down day today. Grayson hasn't been feeling super well this week, so getting him to eat and just kind of be a little more energetic has been kind of tough. And it always makes me worry when my dogs don't feel very good. Um, and his stomach seems to have been bothering him since Servo died last month. So didn't see who. Yeah, I hope he gets better too. Like he's an older dog. I got him, he came into my life 12 years ago. God, it's like parts of me think like that doesn't seem long enough, and other parts of me think like, yeah, that sounds about right. Um, why am I dipping that in water? It's already got water on it. Wait, I did put that. Why are you adding more water to that? Um, he's a tough little guy, though. He's going to go visit his grandma this weekend because I've got a couple of events coming up on Saturday and Sunday, and my stepdad is also going out of town. So my mom on Sunday was just like, why doesn't he just come over and like that way he can keep me company and I can keep an eye on him, and that way you don't have to feel bad about running out and doing the events. And um, so I'll be at Made in Tucson on Sunday. I don't have a booth with Made in Tucson, but I did get in with Collector's Territory, so I'll be in their shop on Sunday. And and then on Saturday is Small Business Saturday at Space Monkey. So I will be there from like 8:30 or 9 because we started early as hell last year. Um, and so it'll just be me and some art. Although today I should have tried to go to FedEx office to get some labels printed, although I don't have that many slabs left over. I think I have like 5 left, but I still just need to be ready. I haven't watched the video yet, Richard, or the short of the autograph that you got. Who was the voice actor that you picked up last weekend? Such as. Yeah, right? No, I get you, Angel. I know Space Monkey he's having his sales, which is great. I'm sure I don't know if I don't think the vendors are necessarily gonna be doing any specific sales, right? Um, and I already made my announcement on Facebook that I would not be doing any, like, Black Friday type stuff or Cyber Monday or anything like that. I don't get a ton of sales as it, as it stands, so and I know a lot of people or, some people might say, "Well, you should do sales because then it encourages people to, like, shop with you." And I'm like, "Yeah, but if people only shop with me when I'm running sales, then I have to run sales all the time." And then, I don't wanna train people to do that like department stores did, because now people only go to department stores when they're running sales, and nobody buys stuff full price anymore, and everybody expects to get it. Oh, I thought you were gonna say she's, like, 80 years old. That's cool, man. What was I watching the other day that reminded me of, like actually, the only, um, animes that I've been watching recently because I finished Chainsaw Man. Richard and I went to see the Chainsaw Man movie, the Reze Act arc, and that was really cool. And I finished all the Chainsaw Man mangas that I had in my possession, so now I need to go get some more. And I have a really cool comic book showing up hopefully by Saturday. It says it'll be here by Saturday. And I'm really excited about it because I've never owned um, like an original EC book. Um, and this is one of my favorite covers probably ever. And it's a known cover, but it's not like talked about and as iconic as some of the other ones that EC produced. So I'm pretty excited about it. It's Crime Suspense Stories 16. And it's actually a cover that I plan to homage for chapter 2 of Welcome to Pleasant Falls. So I actually wouldn't mind having a copy of every single. Screwball dramedy would be a decent way to articulate that. Yeah, I could see that. Um, I was really bummed because we didn't get there in time to get any of the Pochita popcorn buckets. Um, and Richard would not buy me one at the toy show. There weren't any at the toy show that I saw anyway. A couple of people had popcorn buckets, but not the Pochita popcorn buckets. Um, and the theaters said that they got like one allotment of those popcorn buckets, and they weren't getting any more. Um, I would say if you liked the movie Angel, check out the manga because the manga is really good, and it's obviously goes way more in depth. Um, I think the thing I really like about the manga with respect to Chainsaw Man and Dandadan, um, is the way that they capture the art style, and it's very, very true um, to the manga in terms of the style that they use. So, but yeah, there were people selling the Pochita popcorn buckets online for like $80. And as much as I would like one, I don't need a chunk of plastic that I spend $80 on, like just sitting in my house. That I'd probably look at like a couple of times a week and be like, "Oh, that's really cool that I have that." But otherwise, like, it not really mean much. This is gonna be a little bit different than I thought it was gonna turn out. Like, not in a bad way either. Like, definitely in an interesting way. What did the Bob Ross say? Like, happy accidents? Yeah, I don't know. I have one popcorn bucket. Um, I got the crypto dog bowl bucket when we went to see Superman, and it was the least expensive of the popcorn buckets, and it was still like $20. The nice thing about these pens, Angel, if you ever get these and start using brush pens, these Pentels, um, they as long as you get the regular pigment, the that would be the gray uh, barrel, they are like waterproof, like because that's what I'm using right now, right? And um, it's not pulling the pigment or anything out, which I really, really appreciate. They make watercolor versions, and those are cool too. But like for what I do, it makes it harder to get it right because then it always pulls the pigment whenever I'm working on it. I know. I think you said you were using microns and stuff as well, and the microns are really good for that because they're also kind of waterproof. I think as long as you just like let them sit for a few minutes to get tight or to dry. You know what I would buy as a popcorn bucket, and I probably would spend like 80 or $100 to get if I couldn't get it in the theaters, and would be like if they did they re-release Akira, and there was like um Canada's bike popcorn bucket. I would I'd friggin' mark out for that. But if you know me, you already know I probably would have done that. I think that's almost it for the Freddy. See this dry? No, not yet. Dang it. Because I want to add some more black up top. All right. So sticking with horror, want to do another horror card. And I'll add the black on this Freddy a little bit later. I'll put him over there just so I don't mash him with my hand. Let's think. Who do we draw next? So we got Freddy. I already did the Chucky. Chucky sold. I did the art. He sold. Jason sold. I could do a Regan. A Reagan. Right? I wonder how easily that would be to carve with turkey. I'm pretty happy with that, actually. Face is different than I thought. Oh, wait. I think we talked about that. I have not done a ghost face. What is... Okay, that's not it. I'm not a big ghost face fan, you know, but here's the thing. I'm also not a Terrifier fan. And the reason I drew art is because I knew he would sell. Because people are into that character. 2000. I don't think that was him in 2000. I think that was him in Scary Movie. The thing about Ghostface is, like, he's kind of weird. Did somebody draw Stitch in a Ghostface mask? I mean, that doesn't surprise me. Or it shouldn't. There's like the demon Ghostface mask. It has an eerily perfect origin story. Interesting. All right. So then with, ooh, is that the different masks? Has it actually changed? That's crazy. I didn't think it had changed. But I guess that just goes to show you I'm not, because I'm not a Ghostface fan, I'm not, I wouldn't have noticed those like subtle changes. Like the thing about, like, I love Chucky is my favorite character. Jason is very, very close second, and Leatherface is third. But it's really Leatherface from the first Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie and not really the others. I mean, I love the lineage of the character. Um, I love what they did with the remakes, what Marcus Nispel did with the remakes. I think it was just amazing. Um, but he was never like this monster character, right? Like when you really think about Leatherface and you look at him, he was more, um, he was also kind of a tragic character, right? He was also kind of a victim of his family. He was the power and everything, but he was also not this malicious I mean, he was malicious because that's what he was made into be. It was really could have been looked at far more philosophically than it definitely was back in the 70s. Kind of like, you know, Frankenstein, Mary Shelley's Frankenstein. Like, Frankenstein's monster is not the monster, right? Frankenstein's monster was created. And I kind of want to do him with a phone, but at the same time, that's really cheesy to do him with a phone. I think I watched up to 3, and then I didn't watch any of the rest after that. And then I watched um 6, but I heard Jenna Ortega is in 5 as well, and I watched 6 because Jenna Ortega is in it. Kind of the neat thing, I mean, you can do this anyways, but like the neat thing about this is the face, Ghostface is like kind of so um that's the beginning of the whole story. Okay. That's what a couple of other people told me. But the Ghostface mask can be done like very, very artsy, right? Because of its shape. It's kind of relation, intentional or otherwise, to the screamer. I think the thing I dislike about Ghostface in the Scream franchise is like the final girl is pretty much the same, right? Like you have Sydney Prescott and you have Gail Weathers and you have Dewey all the way up until 6, but like it's to me it becomes weird because it's just like how do you continue a story without a legacy character? The Ghostface costume is the legacy character. It's not like Ghostface themselves is not the recurring character. It's a copycat. So coming up with the motivations for why these, individuals are um, you know, coming out of the woodwork as Ghostface is that's what like becomes the art in the story, right? Like how do I need this picture bigger. Okay, that's good. Like in the first movie, it was great because I don't think it was the first movie where you had 2 killers, but it's probably one of the more prominent movies where you had 2 killers. Um, and like, so Billy Loomis had some motivations for what, he did, but not really. Um, because what did he say? Like he blamed Sydney because her mom and his dad had an affair, and so his mom left his dad, and but it was never like, oh, my dad's also responsible for destroying his own family, right? Um, But then it also becomes this weird thing where you um, also glorify the Billy Loomis character at the same time because there's like the girls wearing the Billy Loomis fan club shirts and stuff like that. And then Billy Loomis's mom is the killer in the second movie, and I think that's when they're in college, right? And she's played by Laurie Metcalf, and so Laurie Metcalf, or Billy Loomis's mom, Mrs. Loomis, is her motivation is, oh, Sydney, you killed my son. So it's essentially a family that takes absolutely no accountability for their actions, which is um, like number one and number two are really the only ones that work together. Plus, number two is the one that started the whole basis that things started to become based on Stabbed as well, right? It was either two or three where Stabbed came in. So that's kind of like, I don't want to say that's my beef with Ghostface, but that's my beef with Ghostface. Like there's the story becomes, how do we get somebody into this costume? And honestly, part six, I like how self-referential part six was, in the sense of, Hollywood has nothing interesting to say. So, that was like the joke. That was kind of like was it the joke in, was it X-Men Age of Apocalypse or Apocalypse? Where they all go to the movie or whatever, and they're leaving Return of the Jedi, which incidentally is Richard's favorite Star Wars movie. Um, and and when they're walking out, what is it, like Jean Grey's character is just like, well, we all know the third one's always the worst, which is referencing um supposed to be like a slap in the face, or like a stray bullet thrown at um not a stray bullet, it's a shot taken at X-Men The Last Stand. But X-Men Apocalypse catches a stray with that because it is also the third in this trilogy. So like it's self-referential, but at the same time, like, it's very stupid in how it's self-referential. Like, I don't know if that makes sense. I think that was supposed to be the point that they made. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's what it was. And then Stab became the basis for the Scream movies in the later movies, because people were copycatting the movie because they wanted to be famous, because the movie is what made the incident famous. And I'm just like, but then it just becomes, I don't know, again, self-referential and meta, but not meta in like a good way. See, it's been a long time since I've seen Shrek. Um, the first movie was good. The second movie I remember being pretty good. But yeah, when you play, fast and loose with being self-referential, like, you run the risk of being just overtly kind of goofy for no reason. No, I don't, Dustin. No, I don't. I don't have to do anything. The thing that was so the thing that like okay, so the movies that came out in that era, Final Destination and Scream, those movies, the first movies were better than they had any right to be, right? Like nobody was expecting them to help change the genre. But at the same time, they were too good for their own good, right? Because the first Scream movie changed the horror genre to be more self-referential and to be more meta and to understand itself and its and how the rules of the genre work, which I also don't like. As I've gotten older, I've grown to not like that because in doing so, you're subverting the idea, but you're subverting the idea for the sake of subverting it, right? You're not doing it because it's actually part of the story. Um, which is in part what I'm trying to do with Welcome to Pleasant Falls. Like, I don't want it to be just, regular tropes, and you're like, oh, this is going to happen. This is going to happen. Um, there are certain things that have been done in movies in the past, I don't know, 20, 30 years that I really appreciate. Movies that will show nobody in the cast, none of the characters are safe. I dig that concept, right? I do like some of the safety nets with the tropes that are used, but at the same time, I feel like we can do this and we can do this better. And being that, I create comics and I have that ability to, absorb all these things that I've seen for years and years and years, um, comics and movies, I can then hopefully tell a story that people get a kick out of and, kind of thing. One of the big things that I've realized, not just, in comics and not just for me creating comics, but specifically helping with my outlook on creating comics. Like, I'm not going to tell a story that hasn't been told before. Like, that's almost impossible. Um, so it isn't necessarily telling an original story, right? Like, it is how you tell the story. It's the path you take. It's the twists and turns. And most importantly, in my estimation, and it varies, and a lot of people I've seen a lot of people disagree with this, and that's fine. It's usually not going to get me interested in things, but people say, "Oh, I've got this like epic event that's going to happen." Well, yeah, it's an epic event, but if it doesn't draw me in because I don't care about the characters, then it's not an epic event. Not in my mind, anyways. Everybody likes things a little bit differently. I like characters that I can kind of care about or even hate, quite honestly. Um, because if I don't have characters that I either like or I hate, so many horror movies nowadays create characters that don't matter, that are there. They're there just to get the body count up, but it's never done well. Like, they're just boring and they're milk toast and they're um like For me, like Chainsaw Man is a great way to relay this. Like I never used to like manga. I think I just had this concept in my head that I wasn't supposed to. I don't because it wasn't cool or whatever, you know. Um, but like Chainsaw Man is really really good because like you know who the bad guys are. Like they show themselves in like season 1. So it becomes one of those things where like, well, how do we continue this story on when you know who the bad guys are? Well, because you want to see the bad guys get their comeuppance. It's just like with wrestling, right? Like you have the heel, you have them, you know, be dastardly and you have them do stuff, but then you have to have the heroes chase them, and that is their motivation on things. But you see a lot of just like really boring characters out there. Like there's nothing special about them. There's a lot of people just trying to like, oh, this character is, you know, really great. And I'm like, part of it is you got to put a little bit of yourself into it. And for me, that's what I did with not just the Bubba Patrol, but with Welcome to Pleasant Falls. Like it's important to have those characters that people can read and like, even if they don't necessarily like understand why they relate to that character. I also sold my first print off my website or off my shop a couple of weeks ago. And looks like there were no issues with it arriving intact. It was just in town, but I mean, it still has to go all the way up to Phoenix and then come back down. So, you know. You're not hungry yet, buddy? It's okay. Don't get hungry. We'll do some treats in a little bit. You want to do some treats? He hasn't really been eating a lot this week. So we've got to find some ways to get him to get some calories into his system. Give me a second, guys. I'll be right back. You to go outside? Hold on. Hey. Come on. Go outside. Go ahead. Go ahead. Go snoofer around outside. Ugh, okay. So I had to let him go outside. He'll come back in a few minutes. So, with Ghostface, because of his limited palate, I know in part 6, one of the ghost faces was female. Um, was um, have they done another one where the ghost face was female? I mean, I know Billy Loomis's mom was in the second movie, but I don't believe she was actually in the costume. So yes. Was it on, I forget, was it on Hulu or was it on HBO? I actually wouldn't mind owning the original Scream just because of like what it did for moviedom. Oh, well, I don't have Paramount. Trying to think of places that might have it. I know the Humane Society pet shop or thrift store sometimes has a decent stock of movies. I bought like 4 or 5 the last time I went, but they were even they were cheap even without the sale that was going on. I think DVDs and I don't know if Blu-rays are, I think Blu-rays are like $2. They didn't have many Blu-rays, but DVDs were like $1 and I bought like 2 DVDs. Or no, I bought like 4 or 5 and one of them will not play. It is scratched to shit, which is fine. Um it's also kind of unfortunate because it is a movie that I kind of like. Um but they were it was like $4 for that, and then like another 24 for that chair I bought. So if you're wanting to watch a horror movie for Thanksgiving, There are a few. There is Thanksgiving, Thanksgiving 3. It'll make sense if you watch it. The Pilgrim, and then, of course, Eli Roth's Thanksgiving. Something that sometimes people don't know about the color black, especially when it comes to fabric, is black comes in a number of undertones or with a number of undertones. So there's like blacks that have red undertones, green undertones, blue undertones. That's why certain like black garments look better with like certain other colored accessories and stuff. And you sometimes can't see it until you've washed the garment a few times and the color washes out a little bit. I think we do yellow in the background because that's the vibe that I'm getting from this. But Thanksgiving 3 isn't as good as Thanksgiving, that's for sure. But it's one of those movies that I really kind of want to buy and have, but I'm like, I'm only going to watch it at Thanksgiving. But then again, I have so many movies that I might only watch once or twice a year. So it's not really a big deal. Um, all right. So while we wait for that to dry so I can add the black to the background, we've got Mr. Kruger. The Chainsaw Girls, though. I'll have to check out their podcast. I was watching a podcast with Kane Hodder on it, and he was talking about how he kind of gets frustrated with some actors who, they'll do a horror movie or they'll do a couple horror movies or whatever, and then you know, they get noticed and they get picked up by Hollywood or whatever, and they have this like air about them that like horror was bad to be involved with. And they kind of like look down their nose at it. And he has a big issue with that. And I'll be honest, like, so do I. Like, it'd be the same, somebody working in animation because they wanted to get into film making, like cinema and stuff like that. And so they'd like look down at animation or getting into comic books because they wanted to be in you know, animation or filmmaking or what have you. And so then they would look down at comic books, and I'm like, look, man, all these genres like have um, uh, their place in history, right? Like, and horror has some of the most devoted fans out there. Who's that? And she saw the Freddy card. Oh, well, I guess today is kind of a Wes Craven day then, right? Did Freddy do Ghostface? All right. All right. Theme. I'm okay with that. That is all right with me. Let me get the bigger brush. Where's the bigger one? There we go. There we go. Dude, are you seriously growling at your food? Just eat it. You're so weird. I know. I'm okay with you being weird. I like you being weird. I think that will just about do it for Ghostface. So for Freddy, we will sign the back. Hopefully, I remember on Friday to go get some um, a FedEx, get those labels printed because I needs me some new labels to do my my slabbing. Need to order some new slabs. Thanks. And they kind of go together. You've got like a rich orange, and then you've got like a brighter orange. Um, and I mean the Freddy is like that's not the first time I've drawn Freddy, but I haven't drawn him a lot. And Ghostface, that's the first time I've drawn Ghostface that I remember. So those will get penny sleeves. 1 second. Excuse me. Where? Oh, there's the lunchbox. I have my handy lunchbox with me that has all my sketch card stuff in it. I hope that when I order more slabs, I get, like, the guy sends me more of these sleeves to put the slabs in. It'd be nice. It's been on for about an hour and a half. Think I might do one more. Give me a chance to think about what to do. I mean, those are the two iconic Wes Craven characters. One more top loader and one more penny sleeve. To do one more card. I was gonna say I could do the turkey from Thanksgiving, but that's really obscure. How much do it depends. These like for a commission they start at $30. So these would be about $30. Yeah, $30. If you want them in the slab, then it's a little bit more. But like this style is 30. I did the pyramid head and the nurse were more expensive because they were like 3/4 figures. They were like below the waist, which for me is a little harder to draw on such a small area. Let's see. So we did Ghostface. Maybe I should just do another Chucky because I do love the Chuck. Thinking like, do I do Bride of Chucky? Do I do TV show Chucky? All right, so yeah, man. I mean, no worries. If it sells, it sells. You can always commission me to do one, and then it's done specifically for you. That's not a problem. All right, so gonna do Chucky. Do I do regular Chucky? Do I do arguably the more iconic Chucky? The Chucky with all that he's pieced together through Bride of Chucky. Do I have my coin? All right, I'm gonna flip. We're gonna flip for it. Where the hell is my coin? I have a Two-Face coin that I use to make important decisions like this. Can't make decisions without the coin. You know, but I mean, if those decisions needed to be made like that, then chances are I should probably have that coin, you know, in a safe spot for me to make those decisions, right? I don't even have a die to roll. Like, that's the sad thing. Why would it not be with all the BTAS stuff? Like, that just seems logical as well. All right. Well, last time I did, let's do this logically. Last time I did Bride of Chucky Chucky, so this time I'm going to do regular Chucky. God, like, I love the way that the doll looks in the new movie or the new TV show, just the mold that they used, but I love the original Chucky as well. And Colt, he looked great in Colt. All right, so then you can draw kind of an apple shape for a head. But you've also got to draw him looking down. So he's got a little butt chin. The other thing that's neat about drawing Chucky is, you know, he's got these like bright colors and everything. And he's very whimsical and, you know, because he's a child's toy. But so there's something like very sinister about drawing him because you're supposed to use like because he shouldn't look scary, right? All right. Thing about sketch cards is they are always going to be something that I have. I mean, you know, like that Street Fighter cover, not always going to have Street Fighter covers, but I'm always going to have blank sketch cards. So, oh, this isn't even the movie. This is the movie Chucky. This isn't the TV show Chucky. So they had already kind of changed the mold by then. That's cool. Yeah, I told myself years ago if I ever got a chance to do like a live action euthanasia movie or Fuzzy Face, if that were the case, I would love to have Kevin Yeager do the work to make Agnew. I think he is one of the preeminent reasons why Child's Play was so successful. But I'd almost want them to work hand in hand with Sesame Workshop and the Henson Company. because Agnew is essentially like a living Muppet. And you'll understand that joke if you read issue 1 of the Bubba Patrol. It's kind of funny when I was talking to my dad about um, having gone to Mad Monster and getting to meet Brad Dourif and Fiona Dourif and like what that really meant to me. And because of what Child's Play means to me in terms of like just being my favorite horror movie series, and also how it like just started my love of horror movies. My dad asked when the movie came out, and I told him 1988, which is when it landed in theaters. And um, he was like, "You were 10." And I told him, I was just like, I didn't see it until I was in junior high. And I talked about it a little bit on my video recapping Mad Monster. Um, and I told him, I was just like, and you would know that if you watched the entire video, or at least like the first, I think it was like the first 10 to 15 minutes of the video is when I like revealed that I watched it when it came out, or when I was in junior high. I actually started. I haven't. I don't think I've subscribed to her yet. But like, there's a woman, and I think she's in Germany or Austria, and she's got a YouTube channel, and she does like custom dolls. So she'll go thrifting, and she'll find, dolls, and then she will like get them all like cleaned up, make repairs, like repaint their faces, like restylize their clothes and stuff. And I'm just like, God, she's using like all these different skills, right? Like she's using um, design, sewing, painting, illustration. Um, and some of them, like she just did one where she she custom made um, an anime character one, but it was like a 3 foot tall doll. Really, really cool. Um, Plug that. Um, but yeah, oh heck yeah. I definitely watched all the Chucky series. I'm bummed that it got canceled. I definitely understand. Honestly, I don't see how movies and TV currently survive with things going to with streaming rights, um, and movies only staying in theaters for, you know, maybe a month. Man, when I was a kid, Dustin, you can probably remember this. Man, movies were in theaters for like 3, 4 months, right? Um, Whoop. Sorry, buddy. And they just don't do that anymore. Because everything's going to go to streaming. So they talk about like movies being a flop when you only keep them in theaters for a month. Um, but Oh yeah, back to the woman who does all the custom dolls and stuff like that. So her videos are really interesting, like the way she stitches them together and edits, which is probably part of my favorite part of things. Like her work is really cool, like and in a way like fits with what I do because one of these days I would like to start um, working on customs again and just doing it for fun. When I started working on my Erica Slaughter custom from a few years ago, I was just like, oh, this is really cool. And I bought all these tools and everything, and I spent a lot of money on the custom. Um, Not just like the different figure parts and everything, but literally like I bought a heat gun. Um, I bought specific types of paints. I bought, tooling kits. I bought Sculpey. I bought um, like all the like things that you need. And recently, just last weekend, actually, I was helping my mom's friend move and basically just put stuff in a pod because she's moving across country. And yeah, it is. It's crazy because it's usually like not even 3 months. It used to be a year or so to go to video. You're right. And then I remember when it left theaters, and this was in like the early 2000s or in the 2000s, the 3 month rule started to apply, where 3 months from when it when it left theaters is when you could count on it coming out on DVD. And now it's like, oh, within a month and a half of it going into theaters, you'll be able to get it on streaming. It'll still take longer to come out on DVD or Blu-ray or 4K, but you're still looking at, maybe 2.5 months, maybe 3 months on the long end. Um, and while that's great and everything, especially for somebody like me who really doesn't like to leave the house if I don't have to, I just social anxiety is not a fun thing to have. Which is, why I like making more friends so that like people kind of help me need to be social or um makes it easier to like go out and do things. um but yeah, so she was like customizing this 3 foot doll, and I think somebody makes like all the doll parts, but she had to do the hands on her own. And so she 3D printed them and she 3D printed the fingers and everything. And she showed her, putting the fingers together and doing like the costume and all the different things that she did with it, where like she would get it, you know, cutting all the fabric, sewing it, and then using all the different tools to make sure that it fit the specific ways so that like it like bounced off the body versus like sitting on the body kind of thing. So I think she said she was using like tack paper and wax paper. Um, and she was using like not acrylic, but like vinyl stickers, decals to do. to do like there's like design and embroidery on the character and stuff. Like it just super interesting. Dude, I remember being one of those people who would be at Walmart at midnight on Tuesday morning, you know, when the movies would come out on DVD. But I also remember being, you know, opening weekend, opening day for movies and stuff like that, like specifically movies like Spider-Man. Um, I, the first Spider-Man movie I saw 4 times in theaters. Seen um, Phantom Menace 4 times in theaters. Last year, my one of my friends wanted me to go with her to see Phantom Menace for the 25th anniversary, and I think I was going to, and then whatever happened, and we didn't. I didn't end up going. I think she still went. Um, but I'm really glad I didn't go because then that would mean I've seen it 5 times in theaters, and I'm trying to get Akira to be the movie I've seen the most in theaters, and I'm at 3 right now with Akira. So Thug Shaker? I am not quite sure who that is. Either way, Chucky is going to be my last card for the evening. I've already been on for drawn for about 2 hours now. So or are you saying you want me to twerk on camera? Yeah, that ain't gonna happen. I mean, I hope so, because like it like one way or another, it was definitely not gonna happen. I had never heard of Thug Shaker before. I thought you might have been referring to a character, and I'm just like, who the hell is Thug Shaker? Like, I don't know offense. Um, uh, Let me put it this way, Dustin. I will do it. I would do it on camera, but I will not do it on camera for free. Just because you don't want to see it, Dustin, doesn't mean nobody wants to see it. $50. Uh, it is a meme. Okay. Yeah, I mean that just, shows you how much I don't really pay attention um to a lot of stuff, quite honestly. Mm-mm-mm. Did you just pop in just to make that request? I think it might just be you and me right now, Dustin. Okay. Yeah, I did see that. Um I didn't care for it. Um don't get me wrong, like I love Mark Hamill as a voice actor. I love Aubrey Plaza as an actress. Um it just was not a very um I didn't enjoy the movie. Like I don't think there was like a real like reason to make it, right? still have my red. I still have my red paint pens. Mm-mm-mm. Yeah, but I think like the whole thing with Hollywood is it's just like, well, let's just do this because A, it's easier. We already have the premise and the property, and I mean, it might have, but at the same time, like, there's not really a reason for them to have done it other than money, right? Like, that's why they do those things. Um, mm, mm, mm. Trying to think of what else, like, what background to give him. Oh yeah, where she's peeling back the. Yeah, when he was in the attic and she thought her daughter was in the attic. Yeah, was when he there was like the loose part on his lip. So I guess he was supposed to be that specific one. But like if he's able to like reincarnate himself, which is when we learned about him being able to split his like shatter his soul into all these other pieces, then you know. Mm, mm, mm. Yeah, Curse, I loved Curse. I thought Curse was really, really good. My mind has changed a lot about the different Child's Play movies, but, like, one of the things I can safely say is that they didn't end up boring, right? Whether you liked them or you didn't, like, all of the original Chucky ones, um, like, not the remake, um, were extremely interesting, and I really like how Curse went back to its, like, original horror roots. Because you got a little campy in Bride, and then you got more campy with Seed. And don't get me wrong, I do like a little bit of humor in my horror, and I mean, especially it's a movie about a doll, like, that comes to life, like, there's gotta be some comedy in that, right? Like, I don't remember where my red gel pen is. Oh, there it is. Sweet. Red gel pen. Release. Oh, that's a business card. No, it's not. That's a sticker. We're going to put that somewhere. Okay. So, we are going to let him sit for a few minutes to dry. This live stream is not sponsored by Pepsi Zero. It should be. Absolutely. She's amazing as Charles Lee Ray. She's a really, really good actress overall. And um, it took me until seeing, what was it, like the second to last or the last episode of season 3 before I realized, like, wait a minute, is that fucking Fiona Dourif? It's Charles Lee Ray. Oh my God, she did such a great job. I was so happy with that. Um, yeah, words just can't express. Plus, she was just super nice too. She was a sweetheart, like, which just makes it easier to be a fan, right? When somebody is like really, really cool to their fans and really, really nice to their fans. Um, and that's what I've noticed about like horror movie people. They tend to be um, pretty down to earth people, right? I mean, even I've heard David Arquette is really, really nice, and I mean, he branched out into like more mainstream stuff, right? Because like Scream was about as mainstream a horror movie as you could possibly get. And not, I don't mean that in a bad way either. I mean, like, yeah, yeah. I didn't pick up on the fact that she was him in the flashbacks. Yeah. Like, she did a really, really good job, but also, like, the makeup was really good, costuming was really good. And I think that is Chucky. Throw some blacks into the background. No, I get that. Like, and it's also like, what do I say? You know, like, oh, I'm here because I'm a fan. Did you just get a picture with him or did you get an autograph as well? Oh, oh shit. Yeah, that's right. Huh. Well, dude, I mean, next year is what? 30th anniversary of Scream. So I'm sure they're going to be doing some stuff, right? They've got to. The cool thing about that I noticed with a lot of the stuff at Mad Monster was like I was watching like people's pictures with like Fiona and like I don't know if she was I think she was telling like the helpers and stuff to do this. They took like a dozen photos with each person with the selfies, which I was like, dude, that's awesome. Cause I've been in places where it's just like you barely get positioned, you know, to do anything or to like pose and like all of a sudden it's just like, oh, it's over. Um, there was one guy who was in his like Chucky costume. Like I don't know if he had any makeup on or anything, but he was and he posted all the selfies that they took, and there was probably like 10 or 12 selfies. And I when I was standing in line for her, like, yeah, they were taking all kinds of selfies with people. And she was taking time to like talk to people and stuff. Kane Hodder did the same thing. Like I didn't get a selfie with him. I wish I had. But I was like totally out of money. And he was one of the actors who was cash only. So I had like 20 or 40 bucks left over. And I don't think that was enough for a selfie. Um, but I mean, like she was taking the time to talk to people. Brad's line was, you know, super long. So he didn't get as much of a chance to talk to people, but it's not like they were rushing people along. I think with Freddie, with Robert, they kind of were, but I heard like that's why his tickets were really limited. So it was like 100 autographs or 100 tickets per day. Um, but each ticket gave you an option to get two different autographs. Um, and I don't think he was doing any selfies. I think they were only doing the photo ops. Um, but people were talking about how like, dude, he was spending like 10, 15 minutes with each person, like talking to them about different stuff and asking them stuff. Like it wasn't even like, hey, I'm just here to talk to you about your stuff. He was, you know, he wanted to hear about people's lives and stuff like that. And it's just so awesome. So, you know, getting to talk to Brad and getting to talk to Fiona and then getting to talk to Kane, You know, those are things that I'm never going to forget, right? Or hopefully never forget. And those are also things that like I want to try to carry for myself in the future. Um, that if I have people coming up talking to me about my work and that they like it and things like that, that I'm not like, I don't get upset about it or I don't get annoyed about it. Cause there are a lot of comic book creators out there, man, who just, you know, they put on the act and it's money and everything. And it's kind of unfortunate, but all right. There is Mr. Chucky himself, Mr. Charles Lee Ray. We are going to okay. I am going to see if I can add this on here. Is it in caps or is it in lowercase? It's fucking right there. Just look at it. It is lowercase. Watch out, Scoobert. There we go. He's all finished. He's beautiful. Oh yeah, the cross hatching. Yeah, the reference I used from Curse, he's like in the kitchen and there's like heavy shadows. I was thinking of just doing black, like solid black in there, but I thought it would take away too much. And it kind of meshes a little, like works a little weird with the costume, but I could always do another one with like heavier blacks. But yeah, that is gonna do it. Cool. All right. Well, actually, you know what? I'm going to throw a couple more crosshatch lines right there. There we go. Now he's done. All right, man. Thanks for tuning in the whole time, man. Have a good rest of your week. Thanks, guys. You guys take care of yourselves. I am all done. If you missed it, please feel free to rewatch. I know it's a long time. But yeah, check out my channel. If you aren't already subscribed, I would greatly appreciate it. Later.